Chapter 4 The Summons. And it came to pass after many days that the word of the Lord came to Elijah in the 3rd year, saying, Go, show thyself unto Ahab, and I will send rain upon the earth. And Elijah went to show himself to Ahab, and there was a sore famine in Samaria. And Ahab called Obadiah, which was the governor of his house. Now Obadiah feared the Lord greatly, for it was so when Jezebel cut off the prophets of the Lord, that Obadiah took 100 prophets and hid them by 50 in a cave, and fed them with bread and water. And Ahab said unto Obadiah, Go into the land unto all fountains of water, and unto all brooks. Peradventure we may find grass to save the horses and mules alive, and we lose not all the beasts. So they divided the land between them to pass throughout it. Ahab went one way by himself, and Obadiah went another way by himself. And as Obadiah was in the way, behold, Elijah met him, and he knew him, and fell on his face, and said, Art thou that my lord Elijah? And he answered him, I am. Go, tell thy lord, behold, Elijah is here. And he said, What have I sinned that thou wouldest deliver thy servant into the hand of Ahab to slay me? As the Lord thy God liveth, there is no nation nor kingdom whither my Lord hath not sent to seek thee. And when they said, He is not here, he took an oath of the kingdom and nation that they found thee not. And now thou sayest, Go tell thy Lord, behold, Elijah is here. And it shall come to pass, as soon as I am gone from thee, that the Spirit of the Lord shall carry thee whither I know not. And so, when I come and tell Ahab, and he cannot find thee, he shall slay me. But I thy servant fear the Lord from my youth. Was it not told my Lord what I did when Jezebel slew the prophets of the Lord, how I hid 100 men of the Lord's prophets by 50 in a cave, and fed them with bread and water? And now thou sayest, Go tell thy Lord, behold, Elijah is here, and he shall slay me? And Elijah said, As the Lord of hosts liveth, before whom I stand, I will surely show myself unto him today. So Obadiah went to meet Ahab and told him, and Ahab went to meet Elijah. 1 Kings 18, 1-16. Before coming to the key point in this text, some relevant aspects of it need to be considered. First, Obadiah makes a poor impression at first glance. His fearfulness on being confronted by Elijah has usually left him wanting in the eyes of many commentators and preachers. Shall see later, there was good reason for Obadiah's fearfulness. Obadiah first of all greeted Elijah with respect and awe, falling prostrate before him as before a king. Obadiah, whose name means servant of the Lord or of God, did so because he recognized Elijah as God's throne man. His fearfulness is not manifested until Elijah commands him to go to Ahab with a summons, Go tell thy Lord, behold, Elijah is here. We are also forewarned against being critical of Obadiah in verses 3-4, where Obadiah's rescue and protection of 100 sons of the prophets, faithful proclaimers of God's law, Israel's Bible of that day, is set forth by God's inspiration. The Lord commends Obadiah. Who are we to be critical of him against the Lord's judgment? Second, we are told that Ahab and Obadiah went out together without others to divide the land between them in their search for water and pasture for the royal horses and mules. Some have used this to imply that Ahab's court was a simple and primitive one. Others have held that no doubt a retinue accompanied both men, although we are told that each searched by himself. Israel was a wealthy state, and the court of the house of Omri was far from poor or meagre. Another reason guided this course of action. I recall being told the story of a wealthy sheepman in the western Intermountain area who had established his business in the early 1940s. Of the area, he knew almost every nook and cranny of the mountains as few did. When the drought of the 1980s made his situation desperate, he went alone into the mountains to find an untouched range with an intact water source, and then led his herder to that range without telling him or anyone else where they were going. Israel was full of dying livestock. Had Ahab taken a retinue, any surviving range would have been quickly preempted by desperate men, anxious to have something of their herds. Then, by the time Ahab returned to Samaria and had his livestock driven to the range, nothing would have been left. Third, in this quest, Ahab trusted only Obadiah. This should not surprise us. Often in antiquity, tyrants turned to godly men for men and material in governing their realms. The Mongol Khans used Christians extensively while rejecting the faith. Nebuchadnezzar and Darius used Daniel. Nero used Christians in his household or cabinet, Philippians 4:22. Ahab was no doubt cognizant of Obadiah's ability and character and plainly relied on him. But fourth, the key fact in this text is Elijah's summons issued to Obadiah. Go tell thy Lord, behold, Elijah is here. We cannot understand Obadiah's shocked, fearful reaction unless we understand what this means. Because our age has lost all sense of form and ceremony, the meaning of this declaration tends to escape us. We can perhaps grasp a small fragment of its meaning if we imagine a child ordering a high-ranking executive assistant to his father to demand that his father present himself for an audience. A king in antiquity had authority and power of a religious nature. No man could order a king to come to him, nor could any man present himself to a king at will. He came and went at the king's word. In Persia, any who dared to approach the king without his command risked death, Esther 4:11. This was law among the Persians. It was a common and general practice elsewhere. To proclaim the judgment of drought, Elijah had made an unannounced appearance before Ahab, 1 Kings 17:1. Perhaps the shocked unbelief with which his proclamation was received enabled Elijah to leave to escape before the amazed Ahab could react. Certainly, soon thereafter, the search was underway to capture and kill the audacious prophet, 1 Kings 18:10 following. Elijah knew that Obadiah would neither kill him on sight nor arrest him. It was dangerous enough for Obadiah to do neither. Now he is asked to go to Ahab as though Ahab were a simple peasant and summon Ahab to an audience with God's throne man. From a human perspective, Elijah's summons had an insane audacity to it. The modern preacher of God's law word does not have Elijah's prophetic calling, nor his miraculous power, nor does he have Elijah's special status as God's throne man. But he does have the same law of God, and he has the duty to summon men and nations to obey it or be judged by it. He does have the calling to proclaim the good news of salvation as well as the certainty of judgment. All men are summoned to an audience with the King of Kings and the Judge of all the earth. Genesis 18:25, Revelation 19:16. Obadiah carried the summons, and Ahab came. With the killing famine in all the area and surrounding nations, he was in a difficult position. All the nations knew of Elijah's role in the drought. If for no other reason, Ahab's own search for Elijah had alerted them. 1 Kings 18:10. For all these nations, Elijah was obviously a dangerous man, but equally clear, Ahab was also something of a Jonah, the man who had provoked a powerful man of God to a judgment from which they all suffered. The drought was not naturally caused, nor was it ending naturally. At this point, Ahab knew that killing Elijah could only perpetuate the judgment and make his problem more difficult. As a result, for pragmatic considerations, Ahab swallowed his rage and pride and went to Elijah. The king came to the prophet at his command for an audience. One who failed to come to the king's bidding was liable to death as an outlaw. Ahab recognized that the God of Elijah, Jehovah, the Lord of hosts, was summoning him, and the summons implied death if he failed to appear. This is the meaning of those amazing words. Go tell thy Lord, behold, Elijah is here. The word of the Lord God of hosts is not a plea or a request, it is a summons, and it is the same as of old. I call heaven and earth to record this day against you, that I have set before you life and death, blessing and cursing. Therefore choose life, that both thou and thy seed may live. Deuteronomy 30:19.